All right, I'm just going to do a little brain dump here. So, as you guys can tell by the title of this video, BYD, I have gone down the rabbit hole of learning and listening to everything, not everything, a fraction of, BYD's current state, and it is truly impressive. There is no car manufacturer that is truly on BYD's level. And I know it sounds weird to us Americans because we don't see BYD cars. We don't have them. Even Australia has only a few, but they are taking over and they will be taking over, in my opinion, in the next few years. They have what nobody else has. They are so vertically integrated in this market that it's going to blow your mind. Now, you think about these vehicles and everything's sourced from somewhere else. Like GM is like a parts bin now. Half the cars are like some Korean car rebranded. The engines, the trans, like everything's kind of just all over the place. GM and Ford and the big three are so subject to supply chain issues that it's going to likely be one of the deaths of them. They have a few other issues. They're slow to build cars, make new models and stuff like that. And when problems arise, they're slow to fix it, all that good stuff. But if you think about BYD and how vertically integrated they are is scary. So they own the ships that deliver the boats. They own the mines for the lithium. They own all the factories. They own insurance companies that insure these cars. And they legitimately own these 9,000 car capacity boats that are going to bring these things all around the world. What other car manufacturer owns boats, that ships that can move vehicles? So like Australia, they're going to just flood the market. Europe, they're just going to flood the market. Japan, flood the market. And these vehicles are cheaper. They seem to be better, or not, if not just as good, and they're quicker to adapt to new technology. These things have all of the latest tech, and they're quicker to get new tech. It's pretty nutty. Toyota is sweating. They said what's going to keep BYD from taking their lunch money is the fact that they have, dealer network. That's what they're relying on. They're not relying on a better product. They're literally just relying on like a dealer network, customer service, and the service of their cars. And then if you look at some of the things, so BYDs are not they're not for sale in the US at the moment. They're also not fully EV. They have plug-in hybrid, they have hybrid vehicles, they do have EVs, but they're not fully EVs. They have trucks. They actually seem to know what these markets want. Some of the trucks that are available soon in Australia, if not already, are actually what Australians want, which is weird. Like they actually have like a good product. The truck is a plug-in hybrid, but it's got electric motors and it charges a small battery, unlike Toyota, which is a hybrid truck, but it doesn't charge it runs off the gas engine, which is not what a lot of customers want. They want the torque of the electric motor if you're going to have batteries and all the complexity of it. I know that may sound weird, but that's what people want. Even if you so if you think about some of the sales numbers in 2024, BYD sold 4.27 million vehicles, a 41% increase. Tesla sold 1.7 million vehicles. Toyota sold 12 million, Honda sold 4.1 million, and BMW sold just 2.4 million. All of those companies sell in the US, a huge market. BYD does not. So they are selling this many vehicles without even selling in the US. And they're hardly even selling in Australia. And they're just now really tapping into the Japanese market. They had a 71% increase in sales outside of China. So their outreach of China in 2024 ballooned. They're just getting started. That's the worry. They're not buying all these ships for no reason. It's a hostile takeover of the auto industry, and BYD is in a really good position to do it. And unfortunately, it's like whether you want it or not, the domestic manufacturers are just shitting the bed. They're just making products that are not good enough. And we deserve products that are competitive enough. And it's like, oh, I love the idea of made in America. But the products need to be good and priced well. If you can't make a product that's okay, so if you make it priced higher than say a BYD, it has to at least be good or better. It can't be priced higher and worse. That's where they're falling behind. Some of these American cars, you guys know, are just so bad that it's not worth your money. Taking the money from you for a product is like stealing. As Lee Iacocca said when he was in charge of Chrysler, he said, if I'm not making a good product, they shouldn't buy it from me in some way like that. It was, a little more vulgar because it was Lee. But then some of the things that people won't think about, they are not subject to supply chain issues. Like I've said, they can pivot so quickly. They make cars that are $11,000. $11,000 they could be selling us, four-door sedans with all the tech. Think about that. Would any other sedan sell if you can get a brand new one for $11,000, a commuter car? Would that destroy the used car market? Why would anybody buy a used car at that point? Like if you just need like an around town deal. Doesn't make sense, right? How about, what it's going to do to the U.S. manufacturers? So think about Chevy and Ford. Ford relies a little bit on, the Australian market. Chevy relies on European market. Buick relies on the Chinese market. And then Germany. So like German cars, BMW, Porsche, they all rely heavily on the Chinese market, the Japanese market, the Mexican market, the South American market. Like these car companies rely on these other markets to make their car worth it. GM can't design a car if the only people that buy it are the US. So even if you can't get a BYD in the US and they take over everywhere else, the US manufacturers are literally just not going to be able to, keep making new cars because they're not going to have the R&D budget anymore, because they're not going to be selling enough volume to justify it. So whether they're never allowed in the US or not, they're going to be completely rolled over on their belly, cut open like a predatory animal would do. They're going to be killed by, the outside forces. Just a speculation, just a thought. So countries like Japan and Germany that rely heavily on manufacturing, I mean, you already see it now. Honda, Mitsubishi, Nissan, they're struggling. Volkswagen's struggling. It's going to be bad for them, and it's going to be worse for them as we keep going. Like, I don't think it's going to get better for them unless there's some huge change that happens, but they're struggling heavily in their sectors. Both Volkswagen and, Honda, Nissan are on the verge of collapse. A lot of people are saying this. This is not just me. So what do we do in that situation? What happens? What is the breaking point for all this? If they become allowed in the US, the US manufacturers, most of them are done. They might be able to make a product that is more appealing and can get some customers, but it won't be broadly appealing enough. They're going to be completely wrecked. Tesla might be the only one that can survive a full assault from BYD, and they're not the only Chinese manufacturer that's good. The Ford CEO, after driving a different Chinese manufacturer's vehicle for a few months, said he didn't want to give it back because it was so good. This is a guy that has electric vehicles in his lineup. He has spoken about, some of the downfalls with the F-150 Lightning. It's almost like he doesn't even know that there's a Mustang Mach-E after he drove this, SU7. Yeah, it's weird. And then, the Japan thing, we're going to be going into the 2030s, kind of like we went into the 1930s, with two countries that are kind of, on the verge of collapse or collapsing or struggling somehow because of, financial issues. And if you destroy the manufacturing in those two places, the financial issues are going to be hefty. And yeah, it's scary. So this was my brain dump thinking about BYD. It's crazy to look into all that they own, and they're a privately held company. Obviously, the CCP probably has its fangs into it and is stoking the fire in a way, but it's hard to deny the strategic plays that they've made, and it's easy to see the strategic failures of our hometown heroes, Ford, Chrysler, Chevy. Tesla's the only one that really can fight them. Like Chevy is gonna be cooked. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Am I crazy? Should I put on a tinfoil hat for this? But thank you guys so much for watching. Keep it saucy. I'll see you next time.